Hi, I'm Rob, and today we're at the Gun Inn in Keyhaven. So join me for a lovely 6-mile walk. So we start the walk by walking away from the gun, away from the sea, in this direction. Now the Gun is an 18th century pub, and it's got a reputation for good crab meat and seafood, as it would here obviously, but it's also got a reputation for having over 100 different brands of whiskey for sale. So if you're a whiskey lover, great stuff. So immediately past the pub you've got Hawker's Cottage, named after an admiral that lived here, and you've got a dead end lane. So you cross the road opposite the cottage to head down the lane. So there was a really strange plan during the 1930s, and that plan was to run a car ferry from Keyhaven here across to Fort Victoria in the Isle of Wight. And why on earth they planned that I don't know, because the Lymington to Yarmouth service has been running donkey's years, but they did. But surprise surprise, it failed. And in the distance there, it's the Isle of Wight. So lots to see along the way. Now the name Keyhaven's an interesting one. It comes from the Old English, and it means literally port of the cows. Now it was called that because Isle of Wight dairy farmers would bring their cows over and take them to Christchurch, where they would graze on the rich water meadows. Yes, I wish I'd bought a bag with me. Loads of lovely ripe blackberries just coming out. Smashing. So when you reach this fork, you can go right or left, but we have to go left if you want to stay on the route. If you want to get lost, go right. So on the right here, it's a little stand of young oak trees. But what's really interesting, looking into the branches, and look at that wonderful moss that's growing on the branches, almost like a sphagnum moss. Anyhow, we carry on forward down this track, and do, if it's at the autumn time, sort of late August, September, do bring a pot or a bag, because there are billions and billions of blackberries and sloes all along this path. There's another pond over there to your right. So bird watchers and wildlife lovers paradise here. So at the end of the track there's a 5-bar gate, and more often than not there's a queue for the tip. That's Lymington tip there, or Pennington tip, one of the two. We don't go on the road or through that gate, but we follow the road parallel, the path parallel to the road that runs down here to the left. Now these bring back memories. I think they're rose hips, I'm not sure what they're called actually, but as a horrible child, and all my friends being horrible children too, boys in particular, if you take enough of these and you mash them up, they've got a really irritating sort of hairy type of seed in there, and we used to use them as sort of homemade itching powder. Smash them up, whack them down the back of someone's neck and stand back and watch the fun. Evil really, but yeah, I'd forgotten all about that until I saw these. I bet there's a few of you out there that have done that too. Comments in the comments box. Don't make me seem like a total reprobate, come on, admit to it. Okay, so our first kissing gate of the day. I was going to avoid it and go down that gap in the bushes, but no, because we have to go across the other one. So, through the kissing gate, cross over the muddy field entrance, which is nice and dry because it's dry, and through the other kissing gate, and continue onwards. So another kissing gate, and this takes us out onto the road. And this is the road to the tip, as I say. And the sewage works are over there. No smell today though, thankfully. So very briefly, 20-mile-an-hour sign. You're looking for that gate stuck in the bushes there, going through there. So you spring back out on the road again. There's footpaths to the right and straight on. But at the mystery sign, this little railing barrier there, and that's your first clue that the path you're looking for is over this little footbridge. And just for a change, we've got a stile. So basically this bit, we're skirting the edge of the field. Can't go wrong. The other end you've got another footpath sign that pointing the way back we've came and pointing this way that we've got to go. Farmer's left it all nice and clear for us, which is always good. Thank you, Mr. Farmer. We're following these woods around, and then we bend around to the left at the end of them. This, incidentally, this copse on the left, if you're looking at the map, looking for a steer where you are, is Newbridge Copse. So a little wooden fence, another stile. They can be a bit wobbly, so careful, I'm going to use both hands with this one. So those glass houses over on your left across the fields there, that's the Otter Nursery. But it's not always been a nursery. In 1951, the Ministry of Agriculture bought some land here, a house called Efford House in Everton, and some land around it, and they turned it into a station for horticultural research. Obviously after the war there's still rationing and needed to provide food for the country, so this horticultural research place would have been to find the best cropping crops, the best fruiting fruits, etc, etc, and that's what they did here. Later years they closed the southern part of the site, which is the glass houses over there, and Otter Nurseries moved in. Lovely ready-made garden centre. I believe the Ministry of Agriculture is still in Efford House, although I could be wrong. And another stile at the end of this path. So we're out on the main road. This is the main Lymington to Barton-on-Sea road, or even Christchurch road. Bit noisy, but there's a path, which is good. That last stile, watch out for that. That's a bit of a rock and roller, that one. Anyway, this is Efford Bridge. As you can see, there's a bridge over sort of a marshy and streamy bit. And we're looking for a path over to our left shortly. So this is my new toy, my OS app, which tells me the path I'm looking for is to the left. If you haven't got one, look for the bus stop, and there's the path there. So after all the rain we've had lately, we've got a lovely sunny day, and I'm glad to say that most of the water's got lovely gravel path underneath it. So keep nice clean shoes. You are being watched, so best behaviour. Right, this is Great Newbridge Copse. It's ancient semi-natural woodland, and it's a site for the importance of nature conservation. 100 types of tree and plant, including 8 important indicator species of long continuity. Bum, 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 bum. Basically they're clearing out non-native species in order to grow native species, which will encourage more ground flora and a regeneration of the canopy. So anyway, we're going through the Kissing Gate and heading off into it. Nicely signed, this little bit of woodland. Can't go wrong, just one path. Honest folks, you can't go wrong. Very pleasant shady walk this is. Okay, so we've just crossed a little track back there, but as I say, this wood is really well signposted, so just follow the great big green footpath signs. So on reaching the signposts, there's a track goes forwards and a track goes left. Ignore the one forwards because we're going left. Corn on the cob growing in the field. Loads of corn on the cob growing there as we follow the path around the edge of the woods. A deer feeding quietly in the glade. So you've got to be careful here. Householders have warned us that. Beware crocs. And there he is. I think he's a vegetarian one, he's not coming after me. So after the close call with a crocodile, I love wrestling rubber crocodiles, you come out on this little lane, which is a Garton Lane if you're looking at your map. And this is the house of the people that got the sense of humour. Thank you very much, gave me a laugh if you're watching. A lovely little thatched cottage tucked away down the lane, beautiful. So the road bends round to the right. At this trig point we follow the footpath across where that sign is. But let's have a look at the view from the trig point and I'll explain a bit more about them. So trig points were put up by the Ordnance Survey, and their purpose was to get a really accurate reference for their maps in terms of distance and scale. Now in the top of a trig point you've got this threaded metal plate, and a theodolite would screw into there, and virtue of the trig point's position on a high spot there's a good view. So as you can see right across the Solent to the hills on the Isle of Wight. Almost see the needles on the end. But there'd be another trig point over on those hills, which is a set distance away, where there'd be a reflector. And they'd be able to measure the distance from one to the other, and then if they do another one to go from one to another and one to another, they get a triangle, and then mathematically they can work out the distances. And that's how they map the whole country, triangulated. But after that we come away from the trig point, and as I said we follow this sign which leads us across a lovely path through this field. Again, the farmer's done a brilliant job in keeping the path clear. Well done, mown enough when they let the crops grow over it, so when they do it right, how about a bit of praise? Well done, farmer. And there's Yarmouth on the Isle of Wight over there. I thought Victoria would be over there somewhere behind the bushes, which would have been an Isle of Wight car ferry terminal if you remember earlier. But we continue across the field in the sunshine on this beautiful day. So we emerge onto Lymore Lane, that's the name of this lane, and we do a swift right, watching out for the cyclists. And in short order along the lane there's another footpath which leads off through the middle of this field. And again, a nicely defined path, so you're not trampling crops and you can walk across here, do no damage. Farmer's happy, you're happy, everyone's happy. That's a nice footpath sign, a little stubby one, like that. Anyway, we follow on towards Milford Church, which is that way. So, come across the field, electrical substation now to our left, through a gap in the fence, out onto the main road. And we're going to turn right. This is the main road that leads down into Milford-on-Sea. So you see the sign to the church on the road Church Hill. Just before that you cross over and the footpath leads through the graveyard into the church. So this is All Saints Church in Milford-on-Sea, and it's a 12th century church, which is probably this older bit here, which was extended in the 13th century. Very pretty little church, and it's got the lich gate there where pallbearers would I was going to say they'd sit and rest the coffin, but I think this one must be more ornamental than anything. Yeah, it's a memorial one, because there's nowhere for the pallbearers to sit with their coffin. So pretty, but not functional. So we've got a graveyard full of yew trees, and I tell this story every walk we do. Yew trees revered by the Christians for death and rebirth. Because, as I saw recently down in Devon, it's the only one I've seen, the branches can sometimes dip down, touch the floor and reroot and another yew tree come up. Therefore, birth and resurrection. Or death and resurrection, I should say. Anyway, we head out of the churchyard with its yew trees and we follow the road around. So we follow this road down, careful of the traffic. It's quite a quiet road, but be careful all the same. We're heading towards the village centre of Milford-on-Sea. So we cross the main road, and this is the green Milford-on-Sea. As you can see, it's very, very popular, especially on a bank holiday like today. So Milford-on-Sea is a little town in Hampshire. Population of about 4,500, which increases incredibly in the summer with tourists. A chap called William Cornwallis West, he owned it, it was his manor for a while in the 1800s, and he wanted to make this a major resort with a railway station, a pier and all sorts of things. Well, that fell through. Just like the ferry terminal, it fell through, never happened, but even so it's still quite a popular little tourist resort. Anyway, we walk through and carry on with the walk. So take your time to have a look at some of the shops and things. There's an interesting little town, lots of independent little shops. There's a shop that does recycled goods, as in old fireplaces, that sort of thing, a bit further up here. Well worth a look. The name Milford is Old English, and it means exactly what it says. It's the place where the mill was on the ford. So it's nice and easy. As you can see, it's a lovely little village. Shops go up there. And there's we pan down here. Some lovely little shops. But anyway, we head out of the village. You can grab a bite to eat or whatever you want. There's another pub up there, you can grab yourself a drink. But we're heading off to carry on back towards the gun. So you can see the smugglers in front of you. And that way lies the sea, down the appropriately named Sea Road. So we head off down Sea Road, but we're going to take a little diversion. The fire brigade got something going on there, look. Some sort of fundraiser, presumably. So I was totally wrong, it's not the fire brigade doing a fundraiser. I should have guessed by the old engine. It's actually the Fire Engine Pizza Company Limited. Hence the lovely smell. Anyway, we're crossing a bridge, and that is the Dane Stream. So we'll look at that for a bit, and if you fancy it, take the details. Take yourself off for a nice splash. Rather you than me. But anyway, that sign is attached to this this footpath sign which says Solent Way. So that's the way we're going, through the car park to take a very nice footpath. You wouldn't think so, going through a car park, but it is, believe me. Plenty of people in the garden of the smugglers, enjoying a summer bank holiday drink. So in the corner of the car park is the footpath we're looking for. And it takes us away into a more peaceful little walk, the Dane Stream to the left, and shortly on the right we enter a nature reserve, and it's the Sturt Pond Nature Reserve. So here we are, that's Sturt Pond. Why it's called Sturt Pond, I don't know. I've tried to find out, but I don't know. If you know, leave a comment. Sensible comments only, please. But this is the range of wildlife you can see. Give you a bit of time to have a quick look at the board. And then we'll walk on, there's the reeds. And we'll walk on across this bridge. Momentarily we take this little path, sort of edges onto a fairly modern estate. So at the corner of the close we dip back onto a nice peaceful gravel path. Go and find Sturt Pond. It's just a sea of reeds. Ah, there's something from the past as well. Granny pop-out beds. I'll show you why. So, as kids we used to go, Granny, Granny, pop out of bed. Oh, hang on. It's not doing it. Oh, there it goes. So, just up there's a nice little caravan site. It's called Carrington's. Very quiet, very low key, very much in nature. A lovely place if you'd like a quiet weekend retreat away. With views all over the Hurst Spit, Nature Reserve and the Solent. Very, very nice. So the reeds have now given way to the Sturt Pond proper. Pond in the proper sense of water in it, rather than a load of reeds. But the reeds very important for nesting birds. And as you can see from the opposite bank, very, very popular with the wildlife. So heading towards this footbridge here, and we're going to make a slight detour at the footbridge. It's not part of the walk, but in order to get the view we're going to climb up onto the Hurst Spit and I'll show you the view.
It's quite easy to catch crabs here. It's a perfect place for crabbing. We've caught about 9 this morning, and just about to let them go. They're absolutely
brilliant.
massive.
How have you caught them? You caught them on a line or one of those nets? Or?
We've caught them in a big net,
yep.
which we have over there. They like all kinds of meat. At the moment they're quite liking some palmer ham and some treats.
Oh, posh crabs.
Posh crabs.
He's a big one, isn't he?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. He's enjoying his swim. Anyway, as I say, slight detour. You've seen the crab crabs and the dogs swimming. Well, it is a bank holiday, isn't it? We're going to go up here for the view, and no other reason. So here's the reason for the climb up the Hurst Spit. That is the Needles on the Isle of Wight, the very famous Needles, one of the 7 wonders of the Isle of Wight. Brook with no water, Needles with no eye, and all that business they put on the postcard. And that's the Isle of Wight just over there. So Hurst Spit's a naturally formed spit. It's shingle and it runs all the way out in an arc to the end where there's a castle. And the castle is Hurst Castle, which was originally built by Henry VIII in 1541 to deter invasion by the French and what he described as the Holy Roman Empire. And as you remember, with the dissolution of the monasteries, he wasn't fond of Catholicism. So it's to keep the French and the Pope out, basically. It continued with several additions through Victorian times and times after that, right through until 1956, when the military finally moved out and it was taken over by English Heritage. And now you can visit it either by walking the length of the spit, which isn't far, but it's a bit taxing on the legs the way the shingle drops away, or you can take a ferry from Keyhaven just across the road from where we started the walk. But it's well worth a visit. So back past all the crowds, retracing our footsteps. You see the lady with the bike there going through. We're going to take that footpath there. So we turn right. This is a permissive path. It's very rude. It does naughty things. It's very permissive. That means you're allowed. You haven't got a right of way here, but you are allowed. And as I say, this is the rally field for Carringtons. And the Camping and Caravanning Club, if you're in it, then do come to the rallies they put on here, because it's a lovely place. So pretty soon we come to a gate and a road, and we turn on right on the road to go down to the coast. So turn right down the road. And there's a sign that tells you a little bit about the wildlife on the Keyhaven marshes. So you can see Hurst Castle over there on the end of the spit. See all the additions to it and the lighthouse. As I say, English heritage, nice ferry trip out. Nice visit to the castle, a cup of tea and a cake. Lovely day out. We continue away from the mayhem on the road along this path here. Now we backtracked earlier from the bridge and we went up on the spit. What you could have done, you could have walked along the edge of the spit and come over the bridge at the bottom of this road if you so wanted. So pretty soon we come off the bank and the road leads back to the gun, but we're not taking the road, we're taking the Keyhaven Marshes path, which is just across the road. You can see a 5-bar gate and a chappie with his wife and kids walking through there. That's where we're going. Word of warning, if you do come and park down here, it is idyllic, but those floodgates are there for a reason. And at very high tides, they're closed because all where those cars are parked floods terribly. So beware if you're parking your car there and coming on this walk to check the tides. I wouldn't want you to come back and have a flooded carburettor in the worst possible way. Anyway, here we go, 5-bar gate. New Forest National Park. Keyhaven Marshes. So that white bird in the marshes there, that is called an egret. So if you remember I said about the failed attempt to put a car ferry between Keyhaven and Fort Victoria, that building you see there beyond the yacht is said Fort Victoria on the Isle of Wight. It's a Victorian fort. So one little last fact before we get back to the pub and sign off. All these marshes, Keyhaven marshes, Pennington marshes, the marshes down towards Lymington, they're all used for sea salt extraction in the olden days. And salt was a very valuable commodity because the only way to keep things fresh was to salt them basically and dry them, because there wasn't any refrigeration. So as I say, salt was very, very sought after, and you could make a lot of money and become very rich out of salt, as many people did in the Lymington area. All but dead now, don't see it over here anymore. As far as I'm aware, I don't think there's any salt pans. Well, I could be wrong, might be some hidden somewhere that's still working. But still over in Western France, it's a very, very big industry. Down on the Western Isles, such as Oleron and Noirmoutier, along with the mussels and the oysters. Anyway, it's very pretty with the boats. And it's from around this point, in fact, you'll see as we turn the corner, that you can catch the ferry that takes you through the marshes out to Hurst Castle. You can do fishing boat trips as well. It's a very nice place to go. There is said ferry. We've got the little ones out today. So we enter Keyhaven again, and that's Keyhaven Yacht Club ahead. Very popular, lots of people in there, buying drinks, ice creams, so on. And we follow the path along. So as you can see, sailing's very, very, very popular in this neck of the woods. And we have a chap here with a nice little dinghy. He's been out, so hello sir.
Hello, hi.
So what sort of dinghy is this?
This is a Lymington scow dinghy.
All right.
It's owned by the club, the Keyhaven Yacht Club. I've been down this morning, it's high tide, and just been out for a lovely sail.
Lovely, out around the marshes and...
Yeah, up to Hurst Castle and then just back down around the marshes. Yeah, very relaxing, very
That's
enjoyable.
beautiful. It's a great hobby to have. And they don't require petrol either, which is even better. Thank you very much. So as I say, and as the chap said, very popular dinghy sailing here. Hurst Castle Sailing Club here, look, right next to the Keyhaven one. Very nice. Anyway, we continue walking up this road. And we're going to turn right. And you'll be able to see
No, I wanted to.
just up there is the gun. Okay, so here we are, we've made it back to the gun. That was 6.5 miles. Wet finger in the air, even though one app says 6.5, the other says 6. And it's a great walk, lovely sunny weather, nice bit of coastal scenery, bit of history, lovely. If you liked it, then please like and subscribe. And till then, I'll see you on the next one.